Welcome to the Generous Benefits Podcast, where we help employers create meaningful and impactful benefits that support real people in the real world. And I'm your host, Amanda Brummitt. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend and one of the sharpest minds in HR I know, Becky Goldsmith. Becky has spent her career helping organizations build better workplaces through smart, compassionate, and strategic HR practices. She brings deep expertise in employee relations, compliance, and workplace culture, and has a gift for seeing the nuance even in the trickiest people challenges. And speaking of tricky, we're diving into a topic that every leader, manager, and coworker encounters at some point: navigating difficult people at work. Whether it's a chronic complainer, a passive-aggressive peer, or someone who constantly creates tension on the team, we all know how one difficult person can derail productivity, morale, and even retention. Let's get into it. Okay, Becky, so I want to kind of walk people through before we dive into navigating difficult people, just who you are. Like, I love that you started out as a kindergarten teacher and never even planned on going into HR. So tell us a little bit about your path that brought you here today.
Okay, sure. Yes, I started as a kindergarten teacher when I was a little girl. All I ever wanted to do was teach kindergarten. I used to draw on the back of my parents' door with the chalk I stole from school.
You
Uh,
stole something?
yes, just chalk, just chalk. Um, and up until the day I got my first classroom, um, I thought I just want to teach. And then I started teaching. No, I love teaching. I love the kids. I still love the kids. I miss the kids.
So, Becky, yeah, you taught for a little while, but
Mhm.
then you ended up finding yourself in corporate America later. How did you make that transition? And not to be snarky, but surely teaching kindergartners prepared you for dealing with grown-ups.
It did. It did. So yes, I taught I taught for 6 years, and then I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. Then I went back to teaching. When I went back to teaching, everything had kind of changed, so I decided maybe this isn't what I want to do anymore. Did a few things here and there, but I landed in HR. Started out kind of as an administrative thing, did a little bit of payroll, a little bit of benefits. Um, and then, moved to Dallas with my husband and
Who
started
we love.
yeah, started working for, a company, with anesthesiologists, which is where I met this amazing person, um, Amanda Brummitt. Well, I met her through friends, but then, through Amanda, and, did their HR. Started out there, and, I loved it. I realized that HR is a lot like teaching, um, except most of the adults can tie their shoes. That's about the biggest difference in HR at teaching school. Um, yeah, it's just a natural thing. I had done a lot of things. I worked in the bank. I'd um, done mortgage, and nothing was really satisfying me until I got into HR. And it's just kind of been a natural thing. I've progressed pretty quickly up into the manager portion of it, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, I definitely think that your atypical route to HR has made you better at your job. 'Cause
Mhm.
when I personally have had those conversations with you, your ability to see the human side and really critically think through it is far advanced, in my opinion.
Being a mom also helps in HR because it's just a kind of a nurturing thing. I'm a nurturer. I've always been a nurturer. Even among my friends, I was kind of the mom, and that's a big part of it in HR. And I think growing up in my career doing other things, there was different types of HR people. Those that you are deathly afraid of and those that you feel comfortable going to. And I think in my role, I'm more of one that people feel comfortable coming in my office. I have a big thing of candy. My office is decorated in purple and gold, LSU. Um, it's just bright and happy. Pictures of my family, pictures of my puppies. It's just welcoming. And I think that's what HR really should be. We're here for the people. We're here for the company, obviously, as well, but we're here to solve problems, you know? So,
Definitely. You're for sure one of those HR people that when something goes wrong, we're not gonna hide it. We're gonna go talk to Becky about
mhm.
it and find out what in the world we need to do from a risk management perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm here for. I'm always here. Come in, my door's open. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, let's dive into when we're talking about somebody difficult. We've all worked with difficult people. Nobody specific that Becky and I have ever worked with, certainly, ever.
Of course not.
What kind of behaviors are we talking about?
Well, there's all kinds of difficult behaviors. We've got the people who like to gossip. We like
Oof.
start the rumors. We've got the negative Nellies out there who just can't be happy about anything, constantly complaining. We've got the people who are just aggressive in nature. We've got the people who are passive aggressive in nature. Got people who are just disrespectful. I think that's one. It's always fun to deal with. Um, just all kinds of difficult people.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how do you gauge is this just a season or is somebody just going through something hard versus are they absolutely toxic to this work environment?
So, um, it's hard when you're learning a person and their behavior. But I think that someone who's difficult versus someone who's toxic is that everyone's human. Um, but difficult people who are just being human, sometimes they could be just having a bad day, could be people who weren't taught how to make better choices in life. Um, but they're not really malicious to the core. I think toxic people thrive on that malicious behavior. They thrive on coming in, causing harm to others. They ignore boundaries that people, they don't care if you've set them, and they just really have no moral compass about them. So I think that's the difference.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. And then do you have an idea in your experience for like what is the root cause for their bad behavior at work? Personality, burnout, bad management?
Well, I think there's a lot of different causes. Sometimes people are physically, they can just be hungry. They can be
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
They can be in pain, you know, and
Yeah.
that can come out as just bad behavior. I have someone comes in my office and they're out there causing problems, being difficult, and they come in my office and are like, my back hurts. I'm just in a lot of pain. I cannot stand for 8 hours. And then we have to look at, okay, well, maybe this role is not for you, you know?
Mm, mm.
Um, but they're not expressing that because they're scared to lose their job.
Oh, wow.
So they come in here, it's a safe place to talk, and then I go and talk to their manager.
Mhm.
Then we have people who just don't feel supported, but they don't know how to communicate that.
Yeah.
They're not getting the attention that they think they deserve. They're not, they feel like they're doing a great job and no one's paying attention to them. And they don't know how to express that. They don't know how to communicate that. They haven't been taught communication skills.
Mm.
So, um, in the company that I'm in right now, we have a lot of language barriers. And so
Oh.
sometimes they don't know how to communicate and they get frustrated. And that frustration spills over to what seems like difficult behavior, but it's really just frustration that they can't communicate what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
So that's another one. We also have a lot of companies, including mine. We have inclusion for people with disabilities. And depending on what you have in your workplace, I work right now in a warehouse type of environment. And so we have people we hire who have been on the autism spectrum, and we have forklifts that whistle and blow their horns and bright lights and a lot of noises, and they can't handle that. Well, they put him in this environment and it's too much for him. And so they act out. I had one super sweet, sweetest guy, but when the forklift horn went off, he ran away and he would go hide and jump in one of our big Gaylord boxes. And they were like, what is this guy doing? I need this guy to work.
Yeah.
What's he, but it's just a behavioral thing. You can't, overstimulation.
Right.
Then you have people who are understimulated because they're bored.
Mm.
And maybe they need to just be put in another role because it's just kind of like going back to when I was a teacher.
It's exactly what I was thinking when you
Yeah.
said the boredom.
they're bored. They need more. And so sometimes somebody needs to be promoted into another role because what they're doing is just not enough for them. But instead of manager, I can't deal with this person. Well, why? What are they doing? Have you looked at what they're doing? Do they need to be doing something else? The tendency is, I need to terminate this person when really they just need another role and then they could be an excellent employee.
Yeah.
So it really, honestly, it just comes back to a lot of training, and a lot of companies, mine included, has just a lack of training for managers
Mm.
and dealing with difficult behavior and the root causes of it and what to do with it. So there's a lot of factors that go into difficult behavior.
And is that something where when they first see that happening, that like they should come talk to you and be like, "Hey, Becky, this is going on," and then you can do like that mini root cause analysis and be like,
Mhm.
"We should maybe look for a different role, or maybe we should get, noise canceling headphones for the kiddo that's autistic, or on the boredom one." I mean, that seems like a really easy. Some of these are fixes that you can make really easily.
Some of them are, and I wish that they would come to us, but instead they wait and wait and
Mm.
wait until they boil over to the point of frustration,
Yeah,
and then it becomes a situation.
yeah,
And then they don't know how to deal with it.
yeah.
Um, and then we have to have the talk with the manager. It's like, well, how are you dealing with it? What are you doing?
Right.
And then it becomes an all over situation that's just bubbled up to the point of an explosion on the floor. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and maybe it's just because I'm getting old now, but I know, I mean, gosh, I am old enough now that I actually rarely have like problems with employees. But on the rare occasion that I do, I always pause and think about it first and think, one, am I causing it? Because that's always possible. But two, even if I'm not causing it, even if they are the problem, what am I doing that is setting them up to fail? Because I feel like there's always a role that we have as leaders that we could have handled it better.
yes, myself included, we're all included in that um, as a coworker or a manager, And so the trainings that we have done, first thing I always tell them is to just stop and breathe.
Yes, take that pause.
Yes. Yes, always. Stay calm. Remember, as a manager, you're the professional here. You're the one that they're looking to. Everybody is looking. Because so many times we have that situation where the manager's on the floor and they're the one yelling and screaming. They haven't set any boundaries. It's like, okay, now I have to have a talk with you and your behavior because of the way you reacted to the person. So it, it it leads into a really negative situation for both sides. So I always tell them, look at the way you're reacting to the person.
Yeah.
Um, and then I always say, let's look at the situation and not the person. And are you taking things too personally? Because it's really not about the manager, it's about that behavior.
Yeah.
And so they take things personally. We all do that. That's just a natural tendency to take things personally.
Yeah.
That's human nature. Um, and then we can always, go talk to HR. We can go talk to a colleague. We can go talk to a friend and bounce things off of them. What would you do in this situation? How would you handle this situation? A lot of people don't. They just keep internalizing it and keep getting more angry and frustrated at the situation
Yeah.
until we have the big explosion.
Right. Definitely.
Um,
Do
and
you have Oh, go ahead.
I was just say, and then if you have to go and talk to a difficult person, whether you're a manager or a coworker, I always suggest having a witness
Oh, yes.
because, especially if it's a more toxic kind of person,
Mm,
because having a witness sometimes diffuses the manipulation, the aggressiveness, because a lot of times they won't do that as much. And then I'm always like, just bring them into HR and I'll help you talk to them. So
yeah. Yeah. That was actually my question. Was where if you've got that person that you have difficult behavior and there's an issue, what do you do without escalating that? Which I
yeah,
think
and
you just answered, but yeah.
well, and you should always, if it's just become too much for you, you should always just bring it to us because that's our job
Yeah.
as HR. It's
Right.
what we're trained to do. It's what we do professionally. So just bring it to us and let us handle it. Don't try to handle it yourself because, 9 times out of 10, we're just gonna take it off your hands. We're
Yeah.
not, we can't always fix it. We can't always make it better, but um, we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And then what about not dealing with the conflict? What I know that affects the team in so many different ways. Can you talk about that?
Well, it does. And the problem is a natural tendency is to not deal with negative behavior because nobody likes confrontation.
Mhm.
And so we try to avoid it. But in doing that, it is the worst thing you can do because it does affect your team. And um, in the last year, we have dealt with that on our team. Um, we had someone who was difficult to borderline toxic, I think.
Mm,
And it makes the rest of the team feel undervalued. Um, and even though it was avoiding it so that it didn't escalate sometimes in a team meeting or in a team situation, it makes everyone else feel like, well, that person matters more than us. But it's not the case. But it can lead to turnover, and you're going to lose some of your best team members. Um, and lack of motivation for everybody else on the team. Um, and it just becomes almost an unsafe place for the rest of your team because
yeah.
nobody wants to speak out. Nobody even wants to, team events. People don't want to come to team events because of that person. Um, so it can lead to increased absenteeism, for people in the workplace because
Mm,
they don't want to show up and deal with that person. And then depending on the situation, it can also damage, clients, your reputation with the client. So all kind of things. So you don't want to deal with it, but it's got to be dealt with. And then again, that's why you bring it to us because that's what we're trying to do
right.
is deal with it. So
Yeah. I've definitely, both in my own work, but also with my clients, worked in places where like there was one person that just when they were in the meeting or in the room, everybody's on pins and needles. And you can take a group of really productive, really intelligent people and just shut them down by letting one person like that exist in the
right.
team.
And I've been on the sides of having a team member like that, but I've also had
Hmm.
managers like that.
Yeah.
And it's really hard when you have a toxic manager. Um, and I've had one who's been super aggressive,
Hmm.
and then I've had one that's been also passive aggressive. And
Mm, those are
it
even worse.
it is worse and it's harder. And to you're scared to go with the passive aggressive ones, you just don't ever know what side you're gonna come out on. Um, and a lot of times people's natural tendency is just to quit and not deal with it. But in my case, I was growing in my career and I put in a lot of time and effort and I didn't want to quit. And I
Yeah.
knew that something needed to be done because if not, it was just going to happen to the next person. So I just took it to someone that I trusted
Hmm.
and hoped that it would be dealt with. And it was,
Yeah.
So if you have somebody you trust, you know,
Up the ladder.
up the ladder, up the
Yeah.
ladder. And if you don't, find that person that you
Yeah.
trust. And I know it's easier said than done,
Yeah.
but just work on those relationships at your workplace and, you know, it'll be better for you in the long run. Don't just quit. Don't just quit and walk away. And that's the part of feeling undervalued and where those people can make you feel because that's what they thrive on.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
my advice.
Yeah. I've definitely been guilty of just leaving because that's easier.
Mhm.
But I love your take that if you don't deal with this, the next person's going to have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The passive aggressive ones are the ones that make me nervous. As long as I know the rules, like I've had a mean boss, like I'm talking Devil Wears Prada kind of
Mhm.
situation, but I knew the rules. And so while I didn't emotionally like it, like it was fine. The ones where the rules change and you never know what you're going to get, that
Right.
is like psychological warfare.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And you have to be strong.
Yeah.
But if you know your value and you know your worth, just stick it out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Like I said, it's easier said than done, but it's just going to build that confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. And then sort of flipping the script, what about our own selves? when do we know, one, if we're the difficult one in the workplace, but more so and probably more common for people that actually care enough to listen to a podcast about difficult people is, what are signs that we can look for when we need to check our behavior or when we may be, showing our temper? What are your tips there?
I think you can kind of gauge yourself if you work with a team, how they react to you. You can, if you're like, we have a lot of team meetings, and so we have to have our cameras on. And
Good. Thank you for that.
yeah, I think that's really important to have your cameras on.
Yes.
But you can kind of, I always like to just look at everyone's face when other people are talking. And I like to look at their faces when I'm talking, and any kind of little eye rolls, or if they're looking away, if they're smiling, if you're getting one word answers, to your questions. And then I also like to see, do people like to talk to me about something besides work? People like to come in my office and sit. Um, just how do they engage with you?
Mm,
What's their body language? And you can
mm,
tell if people are relaxed around you, if they're tense around you. Um, that's kind of how you gauge your behavior. And if it's one word answers, if they seem tense, just kind of look at yourself. And I always just want to treat people, how I want to be treated. And so you're always going to have, especially in a manager role, you're always going to have things you have to deal with.
right.
And my team members I make mistakes. My team members, they make mistakes. Everyone's going to fail at something. We all do. But after dealing with some of my negative managers, the one thing that I have always said going forward is that I am not going to be the reason that one of my team members wants to leave.
Oh,
And so if something does come up, I always think about, how am I going to have this conversation? And I think about the team member
mm,
that I'm going to have it with, and their personality, and how are they going to react to what I say. And so I just always try to find the best way to say it, have a plan that we can talk about how we're going to move forward. And then I want to leave that conversation. I want them to leave that conversation with feeling better about themselves. What can we do moving forward? Just so that everyone feels positive. And, that's just how I do it. So
yeah.
I don't ever
Yeah.
want to come in guns blazing, mad. Because a lot of times what they do affects me. Because
Sure.
I've heard it from my boss. So,
Yes.
so yeah. So I always start with the whole breathe, think, react. But I don't ever
Yeah.
be the reason someone leaves.
Yeah. I like that. And I also appreciate that everything you were talking about is obviously a conversation. None of this is an email, none of this is a text message. I feel
No.
like unless it is a, you know, positive, neutral conversation, if there's
Mhm.
any sense of this is gonna be difficult, it needs to happen as close to in person as possible, whether via Zoom or physically in person's great.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't send out emails about something that someone's done wrong. I'm always going to call.
Yeah.
And sometimes on our teams, we have daily chats. Our
Mhm.
teams are going constantly. And I've learned that with a couple of mine, if I just say okay, they're like, oh, she just said okay.
Mm.
And so now I have to watch it, because to me, okay means, yeah, that's great. That's fine. I'm busy. Okay. I have, I have to stop and realize who I'm talking to. Like, okay, yeah, sure. That's fine. Perfect. You just have to know your audience.
Yes.
You know who you're talking to. And I have the best team in the world. Um, I love them. And we just all, well, we do now. The difficult one is no longer with us. But we work hard with each other, for each other. We work together, and it's just something that we're proud to have built. So it's just really important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this has all been really helpful, and I love how tangible, like, these are all things that we can all implement this afternoon. Any last things that I should have asked or you wish we all knew?
Oh gosh.
Oh, what about documentation? I didn't ask about that. Okay, the
Oh,
h how like, how much and how do you document?
well, I think I'm a big proponent of documentation. Even if
Mhm.
it's just like, if I give someone a verbal, I want to have it on paper. It's just a coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And those don't go in their file towards anything, but it's always going to be, hey, we talked about this.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to move forward. But I just think it's really important to get that written down, so that we all have a record of talking about it. But that's how our company works.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. Having a record is important.
Yeah. And hopefully we never need it, but
Right.
we do if things escalate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
We're big on keeping files here.
Yeah.
Documentation.
As we should be everywhere.
Document.
No.
No, I just don't want people to be scared to go to HR.
Yeah.
I know that there are some toxic human resource departments out there.
No.
I know. But it doesn't have to be. And I think things are evolving.
Yeah.
I think their trainings are evolving. And I know that there's this AI stuff coming out for HR, but I just don't think that HR can ever be replaced with HI. It's called human resources. So there's got to be the human side of it.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, the human side is the most important, and the people side. And I just hate that people are I hope they're not ever afraid to come in and talk to me. I know there's the whole stigma of HR, but that's not what we try to build here.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that stigma is starting to go away. I mean, I for sure remember early in my career having some HR departments that were company yes men. Like they are only there to protect the company. And don't get me wrong, I do think HR should be there to protect the company. But you can also take really good care of employees while you take care of that
100%.
company. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm really honest with my employees when they come in here about that. Like, I'm hired by the company, but I'm here to protect everybody.
Yeah.
In a safe place. That's all I want. People to feel safe, heard, and happy.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, for the rest of my career, when I deal with anybody difficult, I'm going to hear you in the back of my head going, I don't ever want to be the reason why somebody leaves. And I so appreciate that. I appreciate all the phone calls you've taken over the years with HR questions. And more than anything, I just really enjoy being your friend.
And I feel exactly the same, Amanda Brummitt.
Huge thanks to my friend Becky Goldsmith for sharing her insight, heart, and HR wisdom with us today. Difficult people are part of every workplace, but with the right tools and mindset, we can respond in a way that protects culture, relationships, and our own peace of mind. If this conversation sparks something for you, maybe a situation you're dealing with right now, you're not alone. These challenges are hard, but they're also an opportunity for growth, accountability, and real leadership.